would you do if out of nowhere you began receiving calls from someone you loved who had recently passed away? What if you were trying so hard to get closure, and instead you were consistently revisited by this person over and over, never letting you forget or move on? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Well, I'm CC. Welcome to the Crucible of Character. Today we have another Reddit story. This one was posted to the r/NoSleep subreddit by OwnPositive1212, and it's entitled, 3 months after my wife's funeral, she started calling every night at 2:13 a.m. And it starts like this. The calls started 3 months after the funeral, same time every night, same voice. Lock the door twice, she whispers, and don't answer if it isn't me. Click. I do what she says. I always did, even when she was alive and already leaving me. She loves someone else at the end, a woman, the kind who holds your hand and robs you blind with her other one. They thought I didn't know. They thought I didn't see the second toothbrush, the softened lies, the long showers after Pilates. They thought I didn't read the messages. They thought I wouldn't taste the wine. I did. I swallowed. I smiled. I asked for another glass. I've always been good at playing dead. They did it the gentle way. Candles, music, poison, with a fruit note. She sat close and told me I'd go in my sleep, and her girl stood behind her with the kind of smile you use to put a dog to rest. I closed my eyes at the right time, let my pulse go soft, let my breath go thin, let the guilt do half their work for them. They drove me in the dark. They cried the right tears. They laid me by water and held hands and told each other they were brave. And when they left, I got up. I walked home with wet shoes and a throat full of metal, the moon hanging like an open eye. I unlocked my own door twice and sat in my own chair until morning. When she came in and saw me, she pressed a hand to her chest, like a cliché. She made a small sound. She folded to the floor. The doctors called it a heart attack. Her girl didn't scream. She kissed me on the mouth and tasted like rosemary and crime. Told you you'd come back, she said. Because here's the part my wife never learned. Her girl was mine first. We planned it quietly. Months before the poison, she slid into my messages, and I let her. She rehearsed the lines with me, and then told them to my wife. She chose the wine, the dosage, the song. I chose the night. It was a simple plan. Let them kill me, come back wrong. Let guilt finish what the bottle started. She'd always had a bad heart. The surgeons said so when she was 22. She kept her pills in a white ceramic bowl that said blessed on it. She was careful with everything except me. Lock the door twice. The dead woman begs me now every night. I do it out of habit, out of love, out of something meaner than both. People ask what grief feels like. It feels like power when you stop pretending you need forgiveness. I kept the house. I kept the car. I kept the rosemary my wife's lover planted on my windowsill. The week after the funeral, because I like the way it smells when I cut it. Sometimes at 2:13 a.m., the phone rattles on the nightstand and I answer. You were supposed to love me, she says. Why are you still with her? I tell her the truth. Because you taught me exactness. Because you taught me to check the locks. Because you made me practice being alone. And then you left me with someone who hates me. Click. In the morning I make eggs in her old pan. The girl walks out of my bedroom, our bedroom, wraps herself in my wife's robe, and laughs when I set 2 plates down like some suburban priest. Think she still calls? She says. Every night, I say. The girl kisses my cheek and steals my fork because stealing is how she says I love you. We don't talk about the water. We don't talk about the wine. We don't talk about how easy it is to teach someone how to kill you if you promise them it's mercy. We do talk about locks. 2 turns, always 2. Before you judge me, understand this. I didn't make my wife plan my death. I just stopped getting in the way when she wanted to be free. I let her believe the poison would do it clean. I let her believe guilt wouldn't. And when she fell, I didn't catch her. I answer the phone instead. Don't answer me if it isn't me, she pleads. Please. I always answer you, I tell the dead. I just don't do what you say. Last week, the girl asked if I ever feel haunted. I said, only when I forget the rules. What rules? Lock the door twice. Don't drink from anyone you don't plan to bury. Don't give away what you can take. And if a phone rings after midnight, don't answer if it isn't me, she finished, grinning. She knows how to speak my language. She's fluent in we. If you want a happy ending, there isn't one. There's just a kitchen at night, and a phone that rings at 2:13, and a man who picks it up because he likes to hear a ghost learn the shape of his silence. There are 2 plates in the sink and 2 locks on the door, and 2 people who sleep fine because we earned it the ugly way. Sometimes the dead asks for apologies. Sometimes she asks me to leave the girl. Sometimes she asks what I did with the bottle, the car, the second toothbrush, the blessed bowl. Where is she? She sobs once. Where did you put her? She's right here, I say, and I watch my lover walk past my chair in my wife's robe to lock the door twice. The line goes quiet. Then the slow breath of someone who can't help loving me wrong. Watch out, she whispers finally. I smile into the dark. We wrote the rules. The end. That was a pretty short story. I did like it, though. It kind of really reminds me of sort of like a modern retelling of A Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. It really reminds me of that because it's almost as though in the desire to get his wife to die from grief, he almost manifests this ghost out of grief himself, if you were to believe that it's grief and not a ghost. Because on the other hand, because of the awfulness of murdering your own wife, that could just be a ghost just haunting him. Do you all believe in ghosts? What would you do in this situation? I think personally I just would not be playing around on my wife. That's a simple and easy explanation, and yeah, I mean, that's simple, right? Don't mess around and don't have to find out, right? Don't create problems if you don't want to deal with the consequences. I think it's interesting when we kind of try to replace someone in our lives and put someone in that place and kind of make them fit to the hole that was already there, as opposed to letting them be who they are. And so I think in a way, he replaced his wife, and he didn't really want something else. He just wanted his wife. That's why it's interesting that if you were to read this from the protagonist's point of view, he talks about how he describes the woman. I guess if it is a woman who is the protagonist, it might be a female. But the protagonist describes the woman, the new lover, as wearing the wife's robe and doing a lot of the same things the original wife had done. And so I think in a way, that is another indication of the grief that the protagonist feels, that they were swept up in it and they kind of manifested this person to be more like the person that they lost. So in my analysis, I would say it's probably a person who's really struck by grief, and that's reasonable because you should definitely not kill your spouse. But anyways, what would you do in this situation? What would you do if there was a ghost of somebody who you loved and maybe you weren't involved in their killing or their death at all? But imagine somebody you loved, and if they were gone and if they randomly started calling you really early in the morning, what would you do? What would you answer? What would you tell them? What would you ask them? Alrighty, well, I'd love to hear all these things and more in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to stick around for tomorrow's video, which will be another scary story and an analysis, please make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss it, as my videos tend to get swept up in the algorithm. If you don't hit subscribe now, you may not ever stumble across my channel again. We're trying to hit 100 subs by the end of the year, and I'd love to have your help in that. Anyways, guys, I've been CC, and this is the Crucible Character. Goodbye for now.